Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sree Iyer. Returning back to talk to us today is Anupam Mishra ji. You heard him yesterday. He's on a very different topic. We're going to talk about the unrest brewing again in Europe as it prepares for this Munich Security Summit. Let's welcome Anupam Mishra ji first. Anupam ji, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel. How are you?
Namaskar, sir. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you, and always an honor and pleasure to have you on our channel, Anupam ji. So the question that is lingering in my mind is, this is unrelated. What is happening in Munich Security Conference? The main topic is how to bring down this conflict between Russia and Ukraine. And all that is happening, and then you see from the blue, you have this one incident again where somebody gets on a van, mows down a bunch of children. 28 is what I heard were injured, but I don't know if there have been any casualties because this is a pretty big van that he used. And turns out that this guy is an Afghan national, and as he's being caught, he utters the A word. So see, I'm just looking at it from a Charakya point of view. Sam, done. Dan, done. Bhed, done. What is left? That also is happening. Dand is also happening. When is this community going to realize that this is not really paying any dividends, Anupam ji?
So this happened in Munich, and the irony is that the conference that we are having in Munich is regarding the global security. So these guys are going to provide the global security to other countries, and look what is happening in their own backyard. And this is nothing new. I remember. Let me look up the date. I think yes, last year, 20th of December, we had this similar incident in Germany, Magdeburg, and it was a Christmas market where this doctor from Saudi Arabia, and mind you, this doctor was in Germany for quite a long time. He was a practicing doctor, and he had come over from Saudi Arabia. And he was living in Germany, and he was sort of a neutralized citizen. And yet he did this. He ran a car over the people, the crowd of people shopping for Christmas, and more than 200 people were mowed down. So we saw the same thing happening in France a couple of years ago. We saw it happen in Austria. We saw it happen on 9/11. So this is the new instrument of terror. Where different vehicles are being used, be it airborne or land vehicles. They kidnap your own vehicle, and they ram it into your own buildings. They take your cars. They take a BMW. Last time the doctor took a BMW in Germany, and he mowed down more than 200 people. So this is the new instrument of terror. What, however, is more disturbing is that we all know that this boy, this man, whatever you call him, was an Afghan refugee. But the fact remains that this guy was arrested at least on 3 earlier occasions. He was arrested for stabbing a policeman and 5 other people during I think it was an anti-Islamic rally or something of that sort. So he was caught there. He stabbed a policeman and 5 other people in the rally. He was caught peddling drugs. He was caught for breaking into a shop and stealing. And every time he was let off. We have also had the judges in Europe pronouncing that these guys are coming from a different culture, and whatever they are doing, they really don't know what is right and what is wrong. And we should be more lenient with them, the refugees. So you let off a guy who earlier stabbed 6 people, and look what you ended up with. This guy came back, and of course, he was not remorseful, as we can see. He took a car and he drove it into a crowd in Germany. This is happening again and again. And most often than not, we find the person who has done it is a repeat offender. Even in United Kingdom, we have seen that these guys are let off with very light sentences. Yesterday, in fact, you saw President Trump announcing the extradition of 𝗤𝗏𝗏 Rana to India. Now, 𝗤𝗏𝗏 Rana was the guy who helped to plot the Mumbai attack in 2008. Rana was the guy who wanted to cut off the heads of all the editors of a Danish magazine, a Danish newspaper, and simply because they had published something about Prophet Muhammad. I believe they published a cartoon or something. And the Tahbur Rana is a guy who, in my opinion, is an ISI operative. He was a former Pakistani army. He was a captain in Pakistani army, and the Pakistani army claimed that he's a deserter. But I believe that is the ISI's classic way of placing their assets deep inside the Western hemisphere. Now the point is that this Tahbur Rana was given a 15-year sentence, but during COVID he was let off in just 7 years. Just 7 years. It was only after the government of India raised a hue and cry that is the flight risk, he may actually fly back to Pakistan and be non-available, and he may run away, that he was back inside the prison, and finally his extradition has come through. So my point is that every time even when you catch up such elements, you let them off very easily, and most of these are repeat offenders. So we have seen people in these countries, practically all the European countries except Poland, welcoming the refugees with the placards, welcome refugees and all that. We've seen how the refugees have been put up in luxury hotels. We have seen how they behave. Even when they are put up in hotels, they keep on complaining about not getting enough facilities. And we have seen that they are out to create the same atmosphere in the countries that welcome them, the atmosphere they claim to have run away from. Sir.
Thank you so much, Anupam ji. I just wanted to, when you mentioned about Tahbur Rana, there is this fellow, his name is Ghulam Nabi 5. He's a convicted ISI spy. He has spent some time in jail in the United States for his spying activities. And yesterday, guess what he turns up with? Khalistan flag. So there are some doubters in India still saying, "Oh no, this is
what I was saying. Number one, these people get off with very light sentences, and number two, they are repeat offenders."
Yes,
now tell me one thing: today he is coming up with the Khalistani flag, but he was caught on the charge of spying for ISI. What makes them think? What makes you think that he will not come up with a drastic act against the United States of America itself and its citizens?
Oh, they dream about it all the time, Anupam ji. It's not something new. But my question is to the moderate Muslim. See, I've now given up that these guys will even find their voice. But look,
with due respect, sir, with due respect, if you are a Muslim, there's nothing called moderation. There's nothing called moderation. There are Muslims with a moderate point of with a moderate point of view that they come up with when they're talking in public. But there is nothing called moderate Islam. There is nothing called political Islam. Islam itself is a complete ideology, a way of life, including politics and the way to rule.
See, Anupam ji, my fear is that with the advent of social media, especially in the last 10, 15 years now, what has happened is we all get into our bubbles where our opinion is getting echoed by other like-minded people, and this starts building up like a volcano, and then it just bursts out with one person going out and doing it. You and I, we fret and fume, but we don't kriyanvit nahi karte hain. We don't do something about it. We just say, okay, the government isn't doing this. We just air our frustration. But this religion is taking it to the extreme end. And Anupam ji, why is the judge, what you said about the judge letting these people off that they don't know enough? Why isn't the judge also figuring this fact out, that many of these people have never stepped beyond 30 kilometers from where they were born? That is their view of the world, that small prism. And you have to think about that too. Say, why the hell did you bring into your country? Why are you going and purchasing trouble? This is the famous statement in Hindi, "aa bail mujhe maar."
Unfortunately, what you are saying is happens to be their alibi. This is precisely what they claim, that we have never left our countries. We have never gone outside the radius of 30 kilometers. We know nothing. We know nothing about the Western values. So if we are committing a rape on a Western soil, this is what we know. And this is precisely how they get off. This is how the judges have been taking a very lenient view that these guys are not accustomed to Western values, and hence they should be let off easily. But the thing is, even when they are let off, they turn out most of them turn out to be repeat offenders, which in itself uh, are a very big contradiction as far as these judgments are pronounced. Number one. And secondly, I've always believed that no system can be better or different from the times in which it is operating, be it the judges, be it the politicians, be it the army, military, police, media, whatever. And the type of wokeism that is running through the Western society, it is only natural that you come up with such judges and such judgments.
Now we are beginning to see the Europe swinging towards the right. It used to be solidly in left. Then they sort of moved a little bit towards the center. Like, for example, Macron. Macron called himself a center, but he's on the support line of the leftists to stay in power. And between him and the leftists, they made sure that the right-wing person, Marie Le Pen, will not come to power. So these are all like, if you remember in the 90s in India, that's what everybody used to do to keep BJP out of power, right? So they are like 20 years behind.
They're still doing it. They're still doing it.
They're still doing it. Right. The only difference is
only yesterday we were talking about on your show when you pointed out that DMK and AIDMK both are conniving to keep BJP out of power. So they are still doing it. And as far as the right-wing governments are concerned, it's just not Europe. It's Europe, US, everywhere you can see. In fact, I believe people all over the world are fed up with this thing. And they are, very frankly, they are leaning towards the right. So either we have right-wing governments coming up, or we have right-wing challenges on number 2 slot.
Very true, very true. In fact, in Netherlands, again, everybody ganged together to make sure that the one right-wing guy wouldn't become the prime minister, Geert Wilders. So see, this is one confusion in the minds of the European now. Hopefully that becomes clearer with every passing day. Anupamji, what is the way out? Trump has clearly said Islam is the problem. That's the first things that he started out yesterday in the joint conference with Narendra Modi ji. He started out saying Islam is the problem. I mean, the guy who's acting on his words is telling you are the problem. If you keep following whatever it is that your religion tells you, you're following it, you become the problem. Are we going to look at another thing where they are just going to go and start flattening out places? But these are all spread now completely across Europe. What are you going to do? What is the way out? I'm just musing loud because I'm getting a little frustrated that this kind of problems are going to spill over to United States too. A lot of people have crept in, and it's not going to be easy to catch them and flush them out.
Imagine if this is how you are feeling sitting there in the United States. Just imagine how we are feeling sitting right here in India. Only yesterday, when the President Donald Trump, he said Islam is the problem, and he said we are going to root out Islamic terrorism from the face of the globe. How do you think the Prime Minister Modi responded? He said, yes, terrorism is a problem. But did he say Islamic terrorism? Did he mention the word Islam? No. So even when Donald Trump is talking about Islamic terrorism, Mr. Modi comes up with terrorism and he deletes the word Islamic from his statement. So that political correction is still there no matter what. And if someone like Mr. Modi can do it, so you can only imagine about the rest of the politicians. As to what is the solution to this menace that is plaguing the entire world as of now, I believe that it is a society that has to be blamed for getting us into this situation in the first place. The prevailing thought in the society that we will accommodate them and we will encourage them, we will pamper them, and maybe they will change their minds. The Gandhian thought, this is exactly what Mr. M.K. Gandhi used to say. He kept on saying that, you remember there was a famous statement he gave when he said Muslim is a bully. And yet he said, we got to accommodate them and we will change their hearts. And even if it means that we get ourselves killed in the process. So people are no more of the same thought process. I believe there was a case in Germany or France. Let me look it up and I'll send it to you, and you can put it in your description on this podcast.
Sure.
Where a girl was raped in Germany by the Muslim immigrants, and she refused to identify her molesters. And later on, she said, "I cannot blame an entire community just because of a single person. Had I identified my molester, my identification would have gone against the entire community of refugees." So imagine a woman is getting molested, and yet she is defending her molester because the entire Western world is under a sort of guilt complex. This wokeism has been guilt trapping the Western Hemisphere for quite a long time, and seems to be working.
I only see dark clouds for Europe, and well, we'll see how this plays out. Anupamji, we have a few questions from our viewers. If you don't mind, let's take them. Just 2 or 3 questions so far. Krishnamurti Hunagun wants to know, Sonia's government and sections in the media were ready to blame Hindus for the 26/11 terror attack. Now Rana is being extradited. His helpers in India must be probed as well.
Fair enough, because when Rana helped 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, whose name was, if I remember, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, something like that. He changed his name to 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. And 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, when he arrived in India, the help he got was from Rahul Bhatt, son of Mahesh Bhatt, brother of Alia Bhatt. And yet these guys were simply let off. And after that, Mahesh Bhatt came up with he appeared in a book launch, where they launched a book where it was claimed that the Mumbai attack was the handiwork of RSS. So yes, these people should be taken to task. And my point is, be it Bollywood, be it IPL, be it other sections of the society, the Pakistani peoples, especially the Pakistanis and the Afghanis, are so much welcomed with open arms that they have a free run in this country. They have got so many supporters and backers inside this country. You see Shah Rukh Khan, he has been talking about, he keeps on campaigning about the cause of Pakistani actors. He says they should be allowed to act in Indian films. Whenever he had that IPL team, there was not a single time when he did not come up with a Pakistani player. He's still rooting for the cause. So what I mean to say is that there's a huge segment in India, Muslims as well as Hindus, who have been encouraging, who have been pampering, who have been welcoming these Pakistani agents, and hence they have a free run in the country. And yes, I totally agree with Mr. Krishnamurti's question that these people should be taken to task.
Next question, please. Suresh Kumar wants to know, are Europeans not understanding the difference between racism and radical Islamic fanatics?
This is really funny because, in a single talk, in a single podcast, you can see that there are Western journalists who are trying to give an alibi to their Muslim friends. And those very Muslims, right there in the same podcast, are talking a very radical language. So, the Muslims at least are very open about it. It is the people in the Western society and people all over the world who are trying to give them an alibi. But I think, especially with the advent of social media, a lot of people are taking a second look at the situation.
Next question, please. The Desi Stand wants to know, how can or do we trust America when a simple change of government can change the whole narrative fulcrum or full turn? if a demon rat government comes into power in next term, the world is fake. Okay, I understand. F, 2 letters and then KED again. Anupamji, he's got a point.
This is a very valid concern. People are asking me this question. If Donald Trump can change the entire approach of United States of America within a week, what will stop the next Democrat president to change it back? My point is that the way Donald Trump has gone about exposing the woke and the democratic agenda within his own country, especially with regard to US aid, even the next Democrat president, whenever he may come along, will find it very difficult to reverse the clock.
I completely agree with you. A lot of things are, excuse me, guys. A lot of things are happening, and we are going to be sharing with you a lot of other findings also. This is widespread. The waste in government is widespread. We are bringing you a lot of breaking stories. Do follow us to understand the depth of the corruption. I'm also saying that the same thing exists in India also, especially at the state level. It's very, very bad. Center level is a little bit manageable, but at the state level, corruption is beyond, it's gone over my head. Very, very sad. Next question from 𝗟𝙑𝗫𝗏. Trump has moved away from NATO and is seemingly proposing 𝗬𝗏, US, Russia, India, and China as the new world order. Your thoughts?
At some point, this is even disturbing, because the way Trump is, whatever Trump is claiming, it seems that the United States of America is free to and out to grab whatever part of the world they want. They will allow Mr. Putin to get away with whatever part of Ukraine he has under his belt. And of course, that will also give the moral edge to China, how China has been behaving in the eastern parts of the world. So India, it seems to be the only country who doesn't seem to have any expansionist approach. So we will have to consider, we'll have to look at the global situation very carefully now.
Before we go, one last question to you. Trump said Modi will take look after, or he will take over Bangladesh. He'll look after Bangladesh. I leave it to him, or something like that. What does that mean to you?
That means that Muhammad Yunus, who has been installed by Mr. Biden, has been abandoned by Mr. Trump. And it is now entirely between India and Bangladesh. And I'm sure that would be giving very sleepless nights to Mr. Muhammad Yunus.
Oh, actually, I heard that. See, I was joking in the morning. A few hours ago, I had a show with one friend of mine who was actually in 2 press conferences. One, the joint conference between Trump and Modi. And after that, Modi addressed the journalists in Blair House, and he was there too. And I had asked him, and I told him very specific question, that Yunus had 2 doors. One door leads to a plane waiting to take him to Dubai. The other door leads to a plane waiting to take him to Singapore. Which door is he going to choose? And then he said, he answered something, but then I read in newspapers that this guy is now already fleet to Dubai. So this so-called advisor is now sitting in Dubai.
Yes, he presumably has gone there to attend a conference, but people are calling, people are claiming that he's not coming back anytime. So this will be quite a fun to watch, because Bangladesh is already in the middle of a civil war, I tell you. The Jamaat-e-Islami and the student wing, they are fighting pitched battles in the streets of Bangladesh. And now the person who started it all, if he really has absconded, if he's really run away to Dubai, as being claimed by parts of the media, they will be actually reaping what they sowed.
Well, we'll wait and see. Something is going to happen soon, I think. And weather is now conducive. In about 4 weeks' time, it starts getting hot again. That's another problem. So we'll see how it goes. Thank you so much, Anupam ji. And it was a pleasure to listen to your thoughts on Europe. And this is a concern that affects all of us. Let's wait and see how things play out. We'll be back again in about an hour's time with Professor 𝗟𝗏 on a similar topic. Thanks once again, Anupam ji. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure. Thank you. Namaskar.